I know you guys noticed this, the trope of if a character is defiant and he doesn't play by the rules, he's always chewing gum.
Yeah, nobody's gonna stop me because I'm the best pilot that's ever lived. I'm number one, baby. No one's gonna get in my way because I'm the best.
What is up, Flick fans? Welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about the brand new war film called Midway. Let's get into it. So, directed by Roland Emmerich, this is the story of the Battle of Midway, told by the leaders and the sailors who fought it. So here's what I'll say. I'm glad we have a movie telling the story of a lot of these soldiers that fought in this particular battle, kind of filling in the gaps for a few people that maybe didn't know all that much about Midway. I am one of those people. Did not know too much going in. I can't testify to how historically accurate this movie is just because I don't know. But if it is accurate, it's nice to know how this went down, and it's just nice to appreciate those who gave their lives for this country that we live in, and I think that's awesome. It is, in that vein, a patriotic movie. It's not overly patriotic, what some would expect going in, and it doesn't do too much to make you feel like you're watching an extremely overly exaggerated movie in terms of the overall, the broad concept, right? Now, when we get into the dialogue and some of the conversations, that aspect, it may be a bit over-exaggerated, as well as some of these character tropes, and I did the thing at the beginning with the gum chewing, and I say that because our main character, played by Ed Skrein, is that guy at the beginning of this movie, and oh my goodness, if he does not fit his entire body into this trope of a character that we've seen 1,000 times. He overplays it with the gum chewing, and then, you know, as his character progresses, maybe he learns a few things, starts becoming a different person, and his character arc is literally him or maybe spitting out the gum. That's when we know that he's a new person, right? And Roland Emmerich, he consistently falls into these tropes because as a director, you have to take this script and maybe enhance it. And I'm not going to blame the script all the way. Although, this writer, Wes Took, is a bit of a new writer, doesn't have a ton of credits to his name, so he's bringing us a story that is based on something that is extremely interesting and entertaining, yet it continues to get dulled down as the movie progresses, and by the end of the film, you're rolling your eyes a bit, thinking, this movie should not have been as long as it was. I don't think I cared about these characters near as much as the filmmakers intended, and I wasn't as entertained as I wanted to be, especially after a rousing and riveting first act. Well, maybe not even first act. First scene happening at Pearl Harbor, and it's like, oh, all right, we're doing this. Here we go. We're getting thrown right into it. The problem with starting your movie off like that is it's trying to get us to care about all of these characters. It's like, oh, you know this guy because he's a semi-famous actor. And I'm just like, I don't know the character, though. I'm not going to care just because he's a semi-famous actor. I have to understand where these characters are coming from at the beginning of this movie, and we're thrown into it. And I get the reasoning for doing something like that. It's just there was no character build-up. And then after that first battle, we start to get character build-up, but it's so lackluster and mediocre, and the script, the dialogue is just so poor. It felt like they were spouting out one-liners consistently. There's one moment where a guy is literally manning the machine gun. He goes, "You bastards!" And it just felt like he was reading it off of paper. "You're the best darn intelligence officer I've ever known." It's lines like that consistently throughout the entire film. And you've got a good cast. You've got Patrick Wilson, and like I said, Ed Skrein, and Nick Jonas pops up in there. Doesn't play a huge role. And then out of nowhere comes these random actors like Aaron Eckhart. There's no trace of him throughout the entire movie, and then he has this big grand entrance. And same thing with Dennis Quaid. Comes out and I'm like, Dennis Quaid! What? And every entrance is so grand, and every character is so overplayed, and anytime they're spouting out one-liners and going on a monologue, the monologues are, you know, not as entrancing as they want to be. The music is building in the background, and it tries to be epic and patriotic, and it just feels a bit emotionally manipulative to me. It does not work as well as it intends, I'll say that, and my goodness, did I not have some major issues. There is one tiny moment before we get thrown into the first battle at the beginning of the film, but I swear, this entire exchange was dubbed. Maybe I'm the only guy in the world paying attention to their lip movement as they're spouting out dialogue, but the lips didn't match up to the words being spouted, and maybe they had issues with the audio and they just had to go back in and dub it, but they thought we wouldn't notice. I noticed. And I hate when they do the over-the-shoulder thing, and I talk about this all the time, when they're clearly mouthing something that's not being said as the voiceover is coming in, and man, there is a moment with Skrein's character when he's doing that, and it goes on for 5 seconds. I'm just like, oh, and things like that make me cringe. It is a poorly executed, exciting premise. The premise is really cool, and I was engaged with the overarching story, but the execution was so lackluster. The CGI is not all that good at times. It's very obvious at the beginning of the movie when they're all on these ships and they're blowing up that the green screen is just everywhere. I mean, they're standing there, and you can even see the slight blurs against their arms, and it's so obvious. And it tries to be epic, it tries to be grand, it tries to make every conversation feel so important, but the movie lasts so long, way over 2 hours, so much longer than it actually needed to be, and I was just, frankly, I was bored at times, and that's so disappointing because, like I said, I was interested and intrigued with this entire story. I just wanted them to get to the daggone point. Once they got there, I was like, oh, this is fairly well done. I can forgive some of the CGI, some of the technical issues here, but it took so long to get there. At the end of the day, I think some will enjoy Midway for the message and just knowing what these heroes did, putting their lives on the line for their country. That's awesome. The movie itself, the execution, and especially the direction from Roland Emmerich, it was not there for me. I won 40% for Midway. Let me know in the comments down below, what score would you give this movie? Did it entertain you? Did you get everything that you wanted from Midway? I saw a trailer for 1917. I'm like, oh, now that looks better than this ended up being. You guys are truly the best. I have a lot of things coming on this channel this weekend. We have Playing with Fire. Last Christmas, I gave you my heart. The very next day. We're rolling the credits. I gave you the way. This is the end of the video. This day. Hit the thumbs up if you liked it. I can't sing it all.